Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. There were a few technical difficulties. Please let me know if you can hear my voice and see the screen in the questions box. Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar session, which is required exams for the Fulbright postgraduate scholarships. This is for the postgraduate scholarships, the convocatoria, call for applications, which is open right now, open the 17th of February, and it will be open until the 4th of May. My name is Miles Thacker. I'm the education advisor at Fulbright, so I help with all of your questions, including emails, personal meetings, as well as books and other resources. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start with the objectives for today. I want you all to be able to have the information in order to register for the required exams. And I also want you to know which exams are required by Fulbright this year for the call of applications 2020. I also want to share with you a few resources to help you prepare for the exams, including links and guides and links to even possibly purchase a book and so on. So I just want you to think for a moment, what are the required exams to apply for the Fulbright scholarship? I'll give you just a moment to think about that. So I did get one answer, and the one answer I received was just the TOEFL exam. So for this year's call for applications for the postgraduate scholarships, we accept the TOEFL IBT official, TOEFL ITP, which is an institutional TOEFL exam, and the IELTS academic. So only 3 different English exams. Then we also accept the GRE exam. Remember, this is only for those of you who are applying at the doctorate level. So those of you who are applying to master's degree for any of the scholarships that we offer this year, the GRE is not a requirement. What is the GRE? It's a standardized test that is a requirement for most postgraduate schools in the United States. So the GRE is actually a required exam for master's and doctorate level in the United States, but for purposes of our scholarship, the GRE is only required at the doctorate level. So that would be Fulbright Min Ciencias, or Fulbright for Indigenous, or Fulbright for Afrodescendientes. So let's go ahead and talk about which exam you should take. So you're going to want to think about, what does it measure? How do you take the exam? The scale of the exam, the time it takes to actually take the exam. Very important for many of you, the cost of the exam, especially with the dollar going up at this time. Results, when do you receive the results? The expiration of the results. Is this exam valid to apply directly to institutions in the United States? Centers to take the exam, and then dates. Finally, how to prepare for the exams, and then how to download the results. So let's talk about those required exams again. So the TOEFL IBT, which is the official, the TOEFL ITP institutional, and the IELTS academic. Now these are the minimum scores for most of the scholarships. For all of the postgraduate scholarships, the 5 that we offer this year, minus the scholarship for Indigenous. So we offer a specific scholarship for Indigenous at the master's and doctorate level, and the scores are lower because for the Indigenous, we believe it's the third language that they're learning, so we ask for a lower score. So go ahead and take a look at the terms of reference for those lower scores. And then, of course, the GRE, as I discussed before, at the doctorate level. Now, for the GRE, there is no minimum score. So if you're applying for MinCiencias or Afrodescendientes or Indígenas, there is no minimum GRE score. But my recommendation is that you study, because we are going to look at those scores. So let's talk about the different English exams and the difference between them. So we only accept the TOEFL ITP, the IBT, and the IELTS. The ITP, the form that you're going to take it, is computer-based. The IBT is computer, and so is the IELTS. The skills that it measures, both the IBT and the IELTS, they both measure listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The ITP only measures these three skills, which is listening, reading, and written expression. And with TOEFL ITP, it's all multiple choice answers. Scale for each of these exams, the ITP is 310 to 667, 31 to 68 points per section. The IBT is 0 to 120 points, 30 points per section. And then the IELTS academic is 0 to 9, which is a band score. Time for these exams, TOEFL ITP 2 hours, TOEFL IBT around 3 hours. The IELTS academic about 3 hours as well. And the cost, it looks like the cost for that is not quite right. The ITP this year is $205,700, so $2 million less than that actual cost. The IBT is $240 USD, so quite a bit more expensive. The TOEFL IBT and the IELTS is a bit expensive as well, at 675,000 pesos, Colombian pesos. So the most economic of the three choices for English exams would be the TOEFL ITP. But if you look down at the bottom row, you're going to see that, is it valid to apply directly to universities in the United States? No. With the TOEFL ITP, you can't apply directly to universities in the United States. With the IBT, you can, and with you can apply to many universities. So that's why the cost is a little bit lower, but you still can apply to the Fulbright scholarship. With all of these exams, you can apply to the Fulbright scholarship. And the great thing is, if you get nominated for Fulbright, we offer a voucher to take the TOEFL IBT free, as well as the GRE exam. So let's go ahead and continue. So when are the results sent? It really depends, but we're going to say a max of 10 days for the ITP, IBT 10 days, and the IELTS is about 13 days. I do believe they have shorter times that they send you these exams, but it's really good to keep in mind these 10 days because you don't know when they're going to send it to you exactly. And also, it's really important to take this exam not at the last minute. You're going to want to register for this exam at least a few days before the last day that you can actually take this exam, which will be the 4th of May. Why? Because let's say that you take this exam on the 4th of May and you get sick and you can't take it that day. Well, that disqualifies you from the Fulbright scholarship to apply for the Fulbright scholarship. So it's really important to have some days in advance to take the exam. Also, if you take it further in advance, maybe you don't get a good score or you weren't feeling good that day, you still have time to take the exam again. So I really strongly recommend that you take these English exams or GRE exams multiple days before the final day that you can take it. Expiration day for all of these exams is 2 years. So if you've already taken this exam and if you have already taken this exam and it was after May 4th, 2018, that's fine. If it was before May 4th, 2018, you need to take another exam. Centers for the TOEFL IBT, we have Barranquilla, Bogotá, Cali, Cartagena, Chía, Ibagué, Manizales, Medellín, Montería, Pasto, Pereira, Villavicencio. You can look up the dates. Now, attached to this webinar, you can download a webinar handout, which is exam links. So go ahead and download that, and you can find all of the links that are in this webinar today. One thing that you really want to note for these different cities, also there may be other cities that are available at this time. There may be many others that are not available at this time due to the coronavirus, which we're still waiting to hear news on. But very good to know is that just because Pasto, for example, is on this list doesn't mean that there will be exam dates every week, or maybe not even every month. So you really want to check your test centers and your test center dates and plan far ahead in advance to make sure that your city actually offers this exam, the TOEFL IBT, before the closing of the convocatoria, which is May 4th. So I recommend you take a look at that link today, log in and see which centers are closest to you, to your city. Calendar, TOEFL ITP. So the TOEFL ITP, we offer it. Fulbright offers the TOEFL ITP in Bogotá, Armenia, Barranquilla, Bucaramanga, Cali, Pereira, Manizales, and then also the Centro Colombo Americano in Medellin. So you're not going to find the Medellin dates on our website because the Centro Colombo Americano, they have their own dates for Medellin and their own prices. So if you are looking to take the TOEFL ITP in Medellin, you will not be able to find that on the Fulbright website because that will be on the Centro Colombo Americano website. I do believe these exams are Tuesday and Thursday around 10 o'clock in Medellin. Also, just to let you all know, some test centers may be closing due to the coronavirus outbreak. And that could certainly hinder the application process, but don't worry if all of the exams or if all of the test centers end up closing and there is no way to take an exam, TOEFL ITP, TOEFL IBT, we will either open more dates further along the line or we will make adjustments depending on what we need to do. So at this moment, just stay calm. If test centers close and you don't see a foreseeable date in the future, just wait and we will be giving different news on basically the next steps that we will take. So how to register for the TOEFL ITP tests with Fulbright? Click on the pre-registration link with your corresponding city, read the instructions, download and fill out the forms from your registration link. So it really depends on the center because the centers receive the payment. So you're going to hand in the documents to the center where you present the exam. And you're also going to pay the fees to that center. So it depends on the center, but in general, you're going to fill out the form and be in contact with your center where you're taking the exam. Also, as talked about earlier, due to the coronavirus, it's really important that you talk to your center, see what days they're going to be open, if the center will be closing. Maybe your center is open, but they won't offer exams. So just take a look at that and really remember if there aren't any exams available, don't panic. Just wait and we will give you guys more information on what to do. For more information specifically on the TOEFL exam, you guys can contact TOEFL at fulbright.edu.co. So specifically pertaining to the TOEFL ITP exams that are not in Medellin, go to TOEFL at fulbright.edu.co. So centers for the IELTS, you have Barranquilla, Cartagena, Ibagué, Bogotá, Bucaramanga, Cali, Medellin, Pereira. And you can check out the dates at British Council website. Again, make sure you take a look at when those dates are, because in Bogota, there are a lot of dates for these exams, but maybe not so many in Ibagué. So make sure you check your city location for those exams and register as soon as possible. And of course, if they don't offer that exam in your city, you're going to want to find the nearest place to take the exam. So which exam should you take? Consider the dates and center. So right now, today, I recommend taking a look at those websites. First of all, see which centers are closest to you. And once you've located that center, of course, call them and find out which processes they're taking as far as the coronavirus goes, and see when the center will be open and if they will have dates for the exam. Also, take a look at this article on IELTS versus TOEFL. It's in your handout. And remember, if you do end up taking the TOEFL ITP, which is less expensive, 207,000 pesos. If you get nominated for the scholarship, you will receive a TOEFL IBT voucher and a GRE voucher for free. But remember, that's only after you're nominated, after you apply. To apply for the scholarship, you still need to have one of those 3 exams as mentioned before. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the GRE test. Remember, this is only for doctorate candidates of the Fulbright scholarships. Measures 3 areas. It measures writing, qualitative, and quantitative. And here's kind of the scores, 0 to 6 for the analytical writing, the qualitative 130 to 170, and then quantitative 130 to 170. You're going to take this computer or paper. The most common is computer. The scale is 0 to 340 in total. And the time is about 3 hours, 45 minutes. It is a long exam, so you want to be prepared. Make sure you eat a big breakfast and you sleep well before. The cost is about $205, and you will receive the results in 10 to 15 days. So make sure you take this exam sooner. The sooner the better. This exam, unlike the English exams, is valid for 5 years. So the English exams are valid for 2 years. The GRE test is valid for 5 years. This exam is valid to apply directly to universities in the United States, and there is no minimum point scale. Remember that the GRE test is completely different from the English exams. So if you are taking an English exam and you're taking the GRE exam, you will need to study for both separately. So you will need to get materials to study for the GRE exam, and then you'll need separate materials to study for your English exam. As the GRE exam does not measure your English language ability, though it is all in English, it measures general knowledge, whereas the English exams are specifically geared towards foreigners who English is their second language. So GRE centers and dates. You have Bogota, Medellin, Cali. Again, take a look at those different dates and make sure you find a date that best fits your schedule in a city that is nearest to you. Paper-based, we have Barranquilla and Bucaramanga. Again, take a look at when they offer those exams. So again, the GRE is a requirement for MinCiencias. Anybody who is applying for the scholarship MinCiencias will need to have the GRE. And remember, there is no minimum score, so but that is still a requirement. And only at the PhD level, at the doctorate level, you will need to take the GRE or the Indigenous Scholarship, and after the Sabientes Scholarship. And eventually, if you're nominated, all nominees will need to take the GRE exam to present to U.S. universities. But at this time, because Fulbright, remember that you will apply this year, the convocatoria, the call for applications, will close May 4th, but that's to start in August 2021. So there is a full year of preparation if you are nominated with us. Therefore, we offer a GRE voucher and a TOEFL IBT voucher. Do you remember which exams are required to apply to the Fulbright Scholarship? Let's go ahead and show a poll. One moment, please. It looks like the poll is having a hard time starting. Okay. So go ahead and give your best answer. Okay, it looks like the majority of you have voted, so let's go ahead and close that poll. So here's your answers. It looks like the majority of you chose GRE at the doctorate level and English exams, TOEFL, or IELTS, which is the correct answer. The reason why GRE and English exam, TOEFL or IELTS is not the correct answer because GRE is only a requirement at the doctorate level. GRE and APTIS, no, we do not accept the APTIS exam. And then GRE and any exam offered in Columbia, English exam. So we do not accept university English exams. We don't accept the APTIS or any other exams. We only accept the TOEFL IBT, TOEFL ITP, and the IELTS academic. Let's go ahead and continue. Now let's talk about how to prepare for the exam. Now that you know how to register, which cities your exam is offered in, which institutions offer your exam, how to prepare. You can buy or rent a test prep book. You can make a study plan. It's really important that you register now. There are a lot of different resources available to you through the ETS website. I do believe the IELTS as well. So you can take a look at those free resources. You can take a free exam, a free practice exam, and there are other resources including books and MOOCs and other online resources. So if you, looks like, sorry about that, my screen was turned off. Make sure you can all see my screen now. So you can buy test prep books through the Fulbright institution. So you can get the TOEFL IBT book, the GRE, the TOEFL ITP, and the TOEFL ITP practice. These are the newest editions, the 5th edition of the TOEFL and GRE, and the newest ITP practice book. So all of these are very new. And if you order them, we will ship them to you in 2 business days. as long as they are in Colombia. One thing to note before I continue, something that I would like to mention, the TOEFL ITP test, if you are in a different country, that option is not available to you. So this year we are only accepting TOEFL ITP exams taken in Colombia. Okay, so once you've studied, once you've taken the exam, or not taken the exam for that matter, how do you upload your results? We have 2 platforms this year, different from last year, and it really depends on which scholarship you're applying to. If you are applying to Pasaporte a la Ciencia, MinCiencias, Afrodescendientes, or Indígenas, you will apply through the LostPal platform. Now, in the terms of reference, it tells you step by step how to upload your exam, depending on 1, which exam you are going to take or have taken, and then 2, if you have taken the exam or if you are going to take the exam. So I'm just going to briefly explain to you, but just remember, in the terms of reference, in the process of application, at the end of your terms of reference, it explains step by step how to apply for the scholarship in the platform depending on your scholarship. So in the case of Pasaporte a la Ciencia, MinCiencia, Afrodescendientes, and Indígenas, it will be LostPal. So briefly, let's talk about the TOEFL IBT. TOEFL IBT and GRE it's going to be similar because they are through the same institution, which is ETS. So the TOEFL IBT, you are going to register or send your pre-existing exam to this code. This is the Fulbright institution code. It is Fulbright Commission Colombia at 9039. So that is the code that you're going to send your TOEFL IBT. Remember, if you've already taken it, you will still send your exam to this code, and it will have an additional cost to send your exam to that code. So what you will do, there's a section in the LostPal platform called Standardized Exams. You're going to add your appointment number, or it may be your registration number, which are the same. You're going to put your name and date the exam was taken. You will receive this appointment number or registration number at the point that you register for the exam. So even if you have not taken the exam yet, let's say you're going to take the exam on the 2nd of May, and you won't have your results in time for the end of the call of applications. Therefore, you just add your registration number, and we will receive your scores directly through our institution code. For the GRE, it's about the same. So you're going to register or send the pre-existing exam that you've taken to the code 9039. So if you have already taken the exam, it will have an additional cost, and you will send that to 9039. Also, in LostPal, the section Standardized Exams, add the appointment number or registration number from your GRE exam, the name and date the exam was taken. Remember that for both of these exams, you will receive that number once you register for your exam. So even if you haven't received the results, you can still put that number in, and we will receive those results before we start our revision of applications. So for Pasaporte a la Ciencia, MinCiencia, Líderes Afro, Líderes Indígenas, the TOEFL ITP exam for LostPal, there is no number that you will receive for this exam. Instead, in the section Standardized Exams, you're going to choose the TOEFL ITP exam, and then below that, you will have a section for name, date, and city which the exam was taken. If we have your name, the date, and city where the exam was taken, we have access to those TOEFL ITP results. So we don't require test taker number nor Fulbright code for the TOEFL ITP. Only the TOEFL IBT and the GRE, which is 9039. The institutional TOEFL ITP, we do not require a code. The IELTS. So if you're taking the IELTS and you are applying for any of the above mentioned scholarships, in this section, standardized exams, you're going to add your test report form number. So they have different names. They're still registration and appointment numbers, but they have different names because they're different exams from different institutions. So for the IELTS exam, it is called the test report form number. So you're going to add this number, name, and date the exam was taken. You will also receive this number when you register for the exam. So you can put that number right into your application, and we will receive those results directly through the IELTS institution website. For this exam, you do not need to add a Fulbright code. All we need is this test report form number, and we can look you up. That being said, it's very important that you put in the test report form number exactly as it appears on either the website where you registered or on your results, depending if you have your results or not. Make sure that number is exactly the same, or we will not be able to find your exam results. Okay, if you are applying for Min Cultura para Artistas through the Slate platform, it's different. So for the TOEFL IBT, you're still going to register or send to the code 9039, just like you would for the Slate. Remember, these are two very different platforms. Though, in this section, this is a different section, different platform, in the section test scores, and then below test scores is score reports, you're going to upload a PDF document. What are you going to put in this PDF document? Basically, all we need is your appointment number or registration number. And remember, the appointment number and registration number are the same. So if it appears on your test as appointment number or registration number, that is the correct number. So with the Slate platform, there is not a place to specifically put your test or to put your appointment number or registration number. Therefore, we ask that you simply upload a document. It can be any Word document. For example, so take the Word document and put the number there, save it as a PDF, and upload it. That's it. Because we already have your name, we already have all of the information within the platform. All we need is that number, and remember to put in those numbers exactly as it appears, either from the website or from your results. The IELTS exam. So in the section test scores, below that is score reports, you are also going to upload a document with your test report form number. Remember, it's called something different because it's a different institution. So you're simply going to type in that number on a blank Word document page or whatever application you choose, save it as a PDF document, and attach the file in the spot where the results would be. Remember, for the IELTS exam, you don't need to add a Fulbright code. All we need is that test report form number. And finally, the TOEFL ITP. Add the date of the exam, and then we don't require a test taker number or Fulbright code for this exam. So it's very different depending on what scholarship you're applying to. Just remember, you will be using Las PAL if you are applying to Pasaporte en Ciencias Afrodescendientes or Indígenas. And only if you are applying to Min Cultura para Artistas will you use the Slate platform. Why did I not tell you how to upload your GRE for Min Cultura para Artistas? Because it's not a requirement. If you happen to have that exam, you're welcome to upload it, but remember, it's not a requirement. So do you all remember where can you buy test preparation books? So go ahead and answer as best as you can. So let's go ahead and close that and share. So where can you buy test preparation books? Through the Fulbright website. We can send those to you within 2 days. We offer the GRE, TOEFL ITP, and the TOEFL IBT books, and we have the newest editions. At Éxito, I do not believe you can buy this book at Éxito. These are very particular, specific books for applying for these exams, and they're not very easy to find. Of course, if you cannot find these books, you can also check with your Centro Colombo Americano nearest to you, and they have libraries. So you can also rent a book at your nearest library as well. So just to let you know, upcoming webinars that we will have tomorrow, essays and research objective, personal statement. We'll do the CV, curriculum vitae, and letters of recommendation. And then finally, application process and lost PAL and slate. So that's all this week. Stay tuned every day at noon. Also, we have some more webinars coming up for the postgraduate scholarships, MinCiencias, Pasaporte a las Ciencias, Fulbright para indígenas and afrodescendientes, and then finally, Fulbright Min Cultura para artistas. And those will be at the end of March. So stay tuned for those different webinars. Thanks for attending. Remember, if you have any questions during the application process, you can always write me at consejeria@fulbright.edu.co. You probably won't be able to call me at this time because I won't be in the office due to the coronavirus. I won't be in the office at this time, so the best way to reach me is consejeria@fulbright.edu.co. And remember, follow us on social networks because we may have more webinars coming up. We may have different dates for different things, different events. We might be not having very many events because of the coronavirus. So it is best to follow us for all of that information on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, especially if you're applying this year because many things can change due to the circumstances that we're having right now. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions for you all. If you feel more comfortable writing it in Spanish, you can write your questions in Spanish. Migdalia, could you explain again the GRE general scores is 0 to 340 for each section? So each section is 170 points each. So you have quantitative and you have qualitative. Each one is 170 points each, and together that's 340. It's technically 346 because you also have analytical writing, which is up to 6 points. So that's how it works. And basically, we're not looking for a minimum score on that, but definitely study and do the best you can. I will tell you the scores that most universities are looking for the GRE. Of course, it completely depends on the field of study. But in general, kind of an umbrella score is around 300 in total on your GRE. But if you just simply take the GRE, you can apply to the Fulbright scholarship, and we have certainly accepted people that have scores less than 300. So just simply take the exam. Laura, ¿podrías recomendarnos, por favor, dónde podemos revisar si las fechas de TOEFL IBT se aplazan por el coronavirus? Laura, I cannot tell you because the ETS website we haven't received news yet for Colombia. So just as everything else right now in Colombia, we are just very pendiente. We're just kind of waiting and we don't have official news. And of course, if they close the exam dates, we're not quite sure when they're going to open them back up again. So you just need to stay pendiente. You can go check the ETS website because for example, in some countries, they are still having the TOEFL ITP or IBT and the GRE, but in some countries they're not. So we just have to wait and see. Juliana, I heard at Fulbright you borrow books for preparing for the test, but it seems they're already taken. Do you know any other places you can borrow or rent them in Bogota? Thank you. So, Juliana, we do offer books. We have many books for TOEFL IBT, but not so many for the TOEFL ITP. We also have books for GRE, so you can come to the institution, which is in Tausaquillo. You can simply look it up on Google and find it there. We are on the 37 with 15, and you can rent a book there. But we have very, very few TOEFL ITP books at the moment. So if you want a TOEFL ITP book, I honestly recommend just purchasing it. I don't think there are a lot of places to find that book. Or you can go to the Centro Colombo Americano, and they also have a library, but I do believe the Centro Colombo Americano will be closing. So I don't know if they'll actually be able to give you any books at this time. My best answer would be to simply purchase it. But I know for the TOEFL ITP or for the TOEFL IBT and the GRE exams, many of the Centro Colombo Americanos closest to you offer those. So Medellin, in Pereira, Manizales, Armenia, Cartagena, Barranquilla, Bucaramanga, they all will offer that exam, as well as Cali. Or they will all offer books to rent. Let's see here. Luisa, veo en la página que las inscripciones de TOEFL dice que temporalmente no hay cupos, aparece en ninguna fecha disponible de marzo a junio. ¿Qué debo hacer en ese caso? Luisa, my recommendation is contact directly Fundación Amigos Fulbright at the TOEFL ITP Center. Let me give you that. Let's see what that was. But that is TOEFLexams@fulbright.edu.co. You can contact them directly. If you need it, there it is, the TOEFL@fulbright.edu.co. So if you need any additional information, just contact them directly. Like I said, I can't tell you which exam dates are going to be available and which ones are not because we just don't know exact dates at this point. Which exam centers are going to close and which ones are not. So you'll just have to stay pendiente. And remember that each institution, so it depends on which institution you're actually going to take the exam, will have their own rules depending on the institution. So it depends on your city and it depends on the institution you're taking it at. I have a question from Joe. Min cultura para artistas y gestores culturales. I don't see a question. Oh, Juliana, at the form for pre-registration TOEFL ITP, It asks for institution where you work or study. If I just received my degree and I'm not working or studying, how do I fill it in? Thank you. So Juliana, you can just put the institution where you graduated from. That works just fine. That's not extremely important for us. Also, just to let you know, for the TOEFL IBT exam and the GRE exam, you will be able to send those exams to universities. So it's good to think about which universities you might want to apply to now, and put those in your registration. So when you register, you're going to put those institutions that you might want to send your exams to. It's important to do that because it's free. So if you don't put any institutions, that's fine. But if you have some institutions in mind, I highly recommend it because that the first time will be free for those institutions. Maria, can you explain again how the voucher works? Would you get a refund for the TOEFL IBT? When approximately? So Maria, there are no refunds. No refunds. So when you are applying for the Fulbright scholarship, there is pretty much only one cost for the entire scholarship there to apply, and that's to take the exam, which is either the GRE or an English exam, and usually both. In this case, we will not refund you, so you will need to find your own funds, which is why we offer the TOEFL ITP, which is a lot less expensive. So we do believe that many of you can have the opportunity to take this exam because it is more accessible than the other exams. So if you're really worried about cost, I say take the TOEFL ITP. And once you're accepted to the program, then you need to take it again. So let's say you got an 80 on your TOEFL IBT or a 567 on your ITP and you need to get a better score. We give you a voucher to take the ITP again. Esteban, for the TOEFL, what do you recommend for a virtual platform? Virtual platform, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe to study. There are tons and tons of different platforms. Remember that you have that attachment. So make sure you download that attachment to this webinar, and those have very many links and resources. One I recommend is Magoosh. Magoosh is really good and works well. Fabio, do I need to take a GRE test for a master's in business? For one, we don't offer MBA programs. So if you're applying for an MBA, you cannot apply to the Fulbright program. If you are applying directly to a university in the United States, you need to take a look and see what that university requires. Usually for business degrees, they require the GMAT. But remember, for Fulbright, we don't accept candidates that are applying for MBA degrees. Cindy, ¿cuál es el último día en que puede presentar el examen TOEFL ITP? That really depends on where you're living in an institution and what happens with coronavirus. So I really can't tell you. You'll have to take a look at the website. My recommendation is take a look at the TOEFL IBT website and the GRE, or TOEFL IBT website and TOEFL ITP through the Fulbright institution website and see which date fits you better, including the cost as well. Nicolas, is there any chance that the deadline 4th of May will be postponed due to the coronavirus? I cannot tell you at this time. I have no information on that. Which is why I recommend that you follow us on social media, so Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Really highly recommend that, especially at this time. Alexis, ¿qué ocurre si en este momento que voy a aplicar a la beca cumplo con la puntuación del examen IELTS requerido, pero el programa de máster al que me gustaría aplicar es más alto? Okay, so for all of the exams, Alexis, we remember that we're going to offer a voucher to take the TOEFL IBT for free, okay? So if you get accepted to the program, you will take a TOEFL IBT. If you don't have the minimum score for your university after you take the second exam with Fulbright, you'll have to look at other options. If you don't have the minimum score for the universities, you will need to apply to different universities. And that's really good to take into account, especially when you're thinking about universities right now. Take a look at the minimum scores that they're asking for in the TOEFL and the GRE. Adriana, my score at TOEFL, so it's lower than 80. Do I have to take the exam again? So if you have a score that is lower than the scholarship that you're applying to, so if it's the TOEFL IBT, you need an 80 for all scholarships except the indigenous scholarship, which is where you would need a 60. If you have 1 point too low, so if you're applying for Pasaporte a la Ciencia and you have a 79, we will not accept that exam, and you will need to take another exam. Which is why my recommendation is if you don't know your level yet, take the TOEFL ITP, because it is a lot less expensive and you can have a good idea of where you stand. Manuela, I took TOEFL IBT last year in Boston. Is it a requirement to take it within Colombia? If it's the IBT, no. So you're okay and you can apply. If it's the TOEFL ITP, then you would need to take that exam again. But in your case, no, you can certainly apply with the TOEFL IBT that you took in Boston. Fabio, Fulbright accepts the IELTS UKVI academic. We only accept the IELTS academic. We don't accept any other IELTS exam. Alejandra, how does it work with the voucher for the GRE? So all nominees for our scholarships will receive a voucher to take the GRE for free with us. So that's the great thing about the master's. If you're applying at the master's level, you don't need to take the GRE yet, because if you're nominated with us, we then give you a voucher to take it for free. Juan, hi. When applying to U.S. universities, do master courses require a GRE? So Juan, if you're applying directly to universities in the United States, most of them require a GRE, but of course it depends on your master's program and the university. So if you're applying directly to master's programs in the United States, you need to check with those universities. Paula, ¿cuántos días demoran los resultados de GRE? 10 to 15 days. Camila, ¿cuál es la diferencia en cuanto al examen como tal, contenido y forma entre TOEFL, IBT y TOEFL ITP? Hace 5 años presenté el TOEFL IBT y tengo un libro de IBT y quiero saber si puedo estudiar con ese mismo para el ITP. Okay, Camila, good question. ITP is different than the IBT. I would recommend getting the TOEFL ITP book. Remember, the TOEFL ITP book is a lot less expensive as well than the TOEFL IBT. If you are taking the TOEFL IBT again and not the TOEFL ITP, then that book will still work. So if you have an older edition of the TOEFL IBT, it will still work to study for the new exam. Many of the questions are still very similar and the format is very similar. David, ¿algún webinar o información especial para quienes estamos interesados en la beca Hubert H. Humphrey? Gracias. David, that scholarship is not open yet. We don't have specific information on that scholarship because the convocatoria will open in May. So you will need to wait until May. When we open that scholarship, then we will have specific webinars on that scholarship. Gabriela, hello. I had my TOEFL ITP in April 3rd and my GRE in April 17th. I've just received an email postponing TOEFL for the 17th due to the coronavirus. Do you know if it is possible to change the GRE date? So Gabriela, if you can take your exams now or or if you can't take your exams now, the institution is letting you take it. If you can't take your exam, if they are postponing your exam dates, just wait. The best thing I can tell you is wait, follow us on redes sociales, because yes, it is very, very possible that most, if not all, of your exam dates will be postponed. But don't worry about it, because we will make adjustments accordingly depending on what we need to do, whether we add more test dates or if we need to do something else. But just stay tuned. My best advice is to just stay tuned. Carolina, do you recommend a band for each skill on the IELTS or just the average score? So Carolina, for all exams, we only are asking the global score. So if you have a 10 in one section but a 30 in the other section, and then you have a 30 and a 30, you still have enough for the Fulbright, or not a 30 and a 30, a 20 and a 20, you still have an 80. Therefore, in the TOEFL, for example, you could still apply. All we ask is the overall score, nothing else. Edward, could we upload the GRE after the deadline because of the coronavirus? I cannot tell you at this moment, Edward. You'll just have to stay tuned, follow us on social media. Andres, is it okay this way on LASPAO related to TOEFL ITP information? City where test was taken, Cali location where test was taken, Centro Colombo America. Yes, that is just fine. Maria Andrea, Centro Colombo Americano also has the IELTS books for rent. I wouldn't be able to tell you. You'll have to check with the Centro Colombo Americano. It also depends on which Centro Colombo Americano. All of the Centro Colombo Americanos, they have resources and books. Some have different rules. So some Colombos will let you actually take those books out and bring them to your house. Others will tell you that you need to study for the exam in the Centro Colombo Americano. So it really depends, and it depends on which institution, which books they will have. Sisley, para aplicar a beca para máster con pasaporte a la ciencia, hay que presentar el GRE. No, the GRE is not a requirement for pasaporte a la ciencia. What books for the IELTS can I buy? We don't offer books for the IELTS, so I know there are books out there, but I'm not exactly sure which are the best books for that exam, because we mostly only deal with US related exams, which ETS is a United States institution, and which is why most of the universities in the United States accept the TOEFL and the GRE. So to get more information on that, you would need to contact the British Council. So Manuela, yes, please, maybe those dates aren't exactly correct. Please check our website for all of the webinar dates. Juan, when applying to US universities, do master courses require the GRE exam? Thanks. So I did answer that already. Gabriela, if I registered for the GRE exam, but I didn't include any code for any institution, can I do that now or when taking the exam? Gabriela, I'm pretty sure you need to do that when you register for the exam. My recommendation is call the ETS website and ask if you can still add the Fulbright institution. One, when applying to US universities, do master courses require the GRE exam? Again, yes, they do. Luisa, presenté IELTS Academic el 14 de abril 2018. Overall score 7. Debo presentarlo nuevamente para esa convocatoria. 14th of April, 14th is after the 4th of May, 17th. That was during the convocatoria. So yes, unfortunately, you will need to take another exam that has been expired. Rafael, ¿qué puntaje es recomendable para tener el GRE para la convocatoria en ciencias? As I said, universities in the United States generally ask around a 300, but remember, it depends on the university, it depends on your area of study, and for the Fulbright scholarship, we don't ask for a minimum. So if you have just simply taken the GRE, I really recommend that you apply. It looks like that covers all of our questions for today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. And please stay tuned for more webinars. Tomorrow we'll lead the webinars on the required exams for Fulbright. I look forward to seeing you all there. Remember that with the coronavirus, a lot of dates are changing, a lot of institutions are closing. At this time, the convocatoria is still open at the same time, as far as we know right now. But stay tuned on our website, stay tuned on our social media, because things could certainly change. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.